Hello, friends, and welcome back to Let's Combinate Drugs and Devices. I'm your host, Subhi Saadeh. Whether you are a person who is studying bioengineering for your first couple years in school, or you are somebody who is kickstarting their career, in this episode, I wanted to go over 4 pieces of timeless advice I wish I had applied sooner. The impetus for this episode is the book Same as Ever by Morgan Housel, where he's trying to talk about the lessons in life that are absolutely timeless, regardless of time or place. And these aren't things you'll typically hear in a classroom. Tip number 1, and this should come as no surprise, is to start publishing early. Visibility is career capital. What changes over the courses of time is the avenues for visibility, the mediums. I would say in 2025, in the current state, the mediums are LinkedIn, YouTube, podcast, websites, blogs, newsletters, etc. You don't need to generate a huge following. The most important thing is trying to learn for learning's sake, producing for production's sake, and putting yourself in a headspace, putting yourself in a place where you are just there to learn and you don't care if you make a fool of yourself. One thing I always think about is, would I rather look like a fool or be a fool? There's a quote by Benjamin Franklin it's profitable for wise men to seem foolish. Going back to the tip, which is to publish early, having a habit set early on where you are learning for learning's sake is a slingshot to the top. People get bogged down in projects. People get bogged down with their personal lives as they grow, et cetera, et cetera. But the people who can carve out a little bit of time, even if it's 15 minutes, 20 minutes a day, where they're like, I'm just going to try and learn during this time. And you can free up time by automating tasks or reducing BS work to be able to learn and think for 15 or 20 minutes a day. Those 15 or 20 minutes a day are little acorns that you are going to be investing in yourself as days go by. Just like compounding, just like the law of compounding, so long as you're consistent with it, you will continue to learn and it will mushroom. I think the problem is people think it's more productive to be clicking a mouse or moving through a workflow at work than to be trying to invest themselves in learning. Like I said, it could be as little as 15 minutes to be able to take a breath and say, I am just going to learn this for learning's sake. I don't have time or a project, or I don't have anything that I need to learn this for, but I'm just going to learn it because I'm interested in it. Gives you a better attitude, gives you a better outlook on opportunities in the future because you're widening your scope and you're making your antenna look for signals that it hadn't previously known to look for. And it just keeps you curious and excited about your field and your role. That can look like a blog, a podcast, a YouTube channel, an article, conference talks. All those things help put you out there. You can get a domain for $12 a year, a website off Squarespace made for you in an afternoon. A couple $100 a year to be able to have a platform like that, I think, is unbelievably helpful and an investment in yourself. The number 1 tip is to start publishing early. You're not doing anything wrong by trying to learn and make yourself visible. The second tip is particularly important for the people who are students that are looking to eventually be getting their first jobs. There's a big difference between student and ready to hire. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you are ready to go on day one, especially if you're entry level. It's expected that there's going to be some learning curve. It's just a matter of, did you try to put yourself in a position where you learn a little bit about how industry works? And so tip number 2 is to learn how industry really works. And what I mean by that specifically is understanding the regulations, processes, and frameworks. In a highly regulated industry, most bioengineering students are not prepared for what they end up actually getting in industry. And I actually did an episode on the basics of GXPs, which is good X practices, and tried to break down one of the most foundational elements of industry. I never learned in school. I didn't actually learn the first couple years on the job. And it was something that I had to figure out on my own. And so you can get an understanding of what to learn by talking to people, Google searching, even asking ChatGPT, understanding how industry works, the regulations, the philosophies. And actually related to that, when I put together the GoodX practice video, I originally called it GoodX practices. And a mentor reached out saying, I love this video. Just one thing to note is they're called GoodX practice, not GoodX practices. GoodX practice is a philosophy, not a set of rules and procedures. It's a discipline. So things like GXPs, understanding 21 CFR 820 or 210-211, Part 11, 21 CFR Part 11, some of the EU annexes, understanding the difference between a standard, regulation, a guideline, and a guidance. All those things are really important. And you're not going to understand all of them, but giving it a try and trying to put yourself in a position where you learn how industry works, I think is really important. Tip number 3 is to try to build skills across disciplines. Everybody's situation has pros and cons. When you are a salaried engineer and you're working in a big company, the pro is getting a salary, experience, projects given to you, and you have resources in your day-to-day work that can maybe help you understand and learn. When you're a student, one big pro is you have unlimited time and freedom in that you don't have to do your job that you've been assigned. So you can have your curiosity drive the things that you're learning. And because of that, you can cold email or show up at a lab and ask, hey, can I do so-and-so? Or you can just work on your computer or try and find experiences that you can learn from. And for me in college, there was a guy a year ahead of me, and he's still a good friend of mine. Just went to his son's birthday party a few weeks ago. He told me throughout the years we were studying bioengineering, hey man, I don't know if bioengineering is for you, because this guy was always getting straight A's. I would sometimes be a little bit behind him and was struggling in a few classes. And so it's still a joke we have. Anyways, we were taking a biosignals class and he was doing research under one of our professors at Rush Medical Center in Chicago. I asked if there was any opportunity for me to be able to do research with him, and we were able to do that. And it was really cool being able to do audio signal processing focused on a bioengineering application, and just trying to find opportunities where you're mixing or trying to get actual application of some of the concepts you're learning is really important. My senior design project was with Baxter International, like the Baxter in medical devices. And that was such a cool experience, being able to talk to engineers throughout my last year of college. And that experience actually helped me get my first job, because it helped me at least build my network with people who were in industry. And tip number 3 is to build across disciplines. In my senior design project, it wasn't just a team of bioengineering seniors. It was 2 bioengineering students who were in their senior year. It was 1 person who was in their last year of their Masters of Public Health, 1 person who was in their last year of their MBA, 1 person who was a medical student, and an industrial design student. During the project, we would check in every month or 2 with Baxter and show our progress. It was really cool to get their feedback on the project that we were working on. And it did end up helping me getting my foot in the door there at Baxter, where I started my career. The last one, the number 1 and most important tip, is to talk to people outside of the classroom. I did a whole video on mentorship, how to find mentors in bioengineering, medical devices, pharma. For me, the most transformational thing that I have ever done is to just start talking honestly to people who are ahead of me in life. Shut up and listen. And people will help you out if you are honest. And I think that one of the things that I struggled with when I was a student is I would try and impress people with knowledge I didn't have. And so I would get in this cramming mentality of, let me prepare so that I can impress this person and show them that I know what I'm talking about when I really don't. The antithesis to this attitude is learning for learning's sake not to impress anybody. Be prepared to look like a fool, because the only way to learn is to challenge yourself and put yourself in positions where you can be wrong. When trying to learn something for the first time, there's no way to go about it where you are going to look like an expert. At the same time, when asking for advice, don't try to impress them, and don't try to preface a question that you're asking them by trying to show them all the research that you've done. You can say something like, hey, I know that I don't want to waste your time. I did try and Google. I did try to look into the different career paths, or whatever your situation is, whatever you're trying to learn or get from a person. Saying a generic statement about, I did put in some effort and I'm not trying to waste your time, and having direct questions is a lot more effective. Direct, honest questions is a lot more effective than trying to memorize things that you don't really understand. So anyways, tip number 4 is to find mentors and people who can help you out and advise you in industry, because real advice and real opportunities doesn't come from coursework. Books are not going to give you opportunities. They come from people who actually work in industry. I think the unfortunate case is that while professors know a lot, I think having the ability to talk to professionals and ask for 10 to 15 minutes. Gary Vee has this really cool trick that has sometimes worked for me, where you're like, hey, if you've reached out to a person a couple times, say, hey, I know you're super busy, but do you have 7 minutes to talk? I have a quick question. Call my cell. I'll pick up. These conversations are helpful in approaching your career, and people, if you look at life in a way where people are going to help you out, read the book, The Alchemist, and that'll help you get in that mindset. Like I said, I covered this in my mentors episode. For somebody, if you have not ever reached out, something like, hey, I'm a bioengineering student. I'm trying to figure out X and X. I'm interested in this field or topic. I loved your work on a project. Do you have 10 minutes? I'd love to talk, and maybe we can figure out a time where we can talk a little bit longer, but I just wanted to say hello. Going about it in a light, approachable way is the way to go. And just to recap, the first tip is to publish early. The second tip is to understand how industry works. The third tip is to build interdisciplinary skill sets. And the fourth tip is to talk to people. If you have questions for me, feel free to drop them in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And with that, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and subscribe as always, and let's combinate.